Hello children, this is the third video for this chapter Winds, Storms and Cyclones. This is for class 7, chapter number is 8 and subject is science. So far in part 1 and 2 videos, we have learnt about how air exerts pressure, wind and pressure, how air expands on heating, and then we learnt how wind currents are generated, about thunderstorms and cyclones and destruction that are caused because of them. In this video, we will be solving exercises related to these topics. Question number 1. Fill the missing words in the blank spaces in the following statements. So wind is dash air. Wind is moving air. When the air is moving, that is called as wind. Okay, next one. Winds are generated due to dash heating on the earth. So winds are generated due to uneven heating. So somewhere the air gets heated more, somewhere air gets heated less, and that's how winds are generated. Next one, near the earth's surface, dash air rises up, whereas dash air comes down. So we know that when the air is warm, it rises up, and when the air is cold, it comes down. Okay, in the last one, air moves from a region of dash pressure to a region of dash pressure. So again, we know that air would move from a region of high pressure to a region of low pressure. Question number 2. Suggest two methods to find out wind direction at a given place. So two methods can be, the first one is take a piece of paper and just tear and make pieces of that, like a lot of pieces from that single paper. Now those pieces of paper, if you drop from a height from your hands, the pieces would fly in the direction of the wind. So in whatever direction these pieces of paper fly, we know that is the wind direction. The second one can be, take some dry and light sand in your hands and then just slip it off. So in whichever direction these sand particles will move, that again would be the direction of the wind. Question number 3. State two experiences that made you think that air exerts pressure. Okay, so the first one can be when we try to fill air in a balloon or we try to blow a balloon, it becomes tight, and if we still keep on filling more air into the balloon, it bursts. So this shows that air exerts pressure. So because of the air pressure from inside, the balloon bursts. Or the second one can be, so we all would have seen windmills. So the blades of the windmills, they rotate due to the pressure exerted by air in the form of wind. So these two examples show that air exerts pressure. Question number 4. You want to buy a house. Would you like to buy a house having windows but no ventilators? Explain your answer. So the answer to this would be, we should never buy a house that has windows but no ventilators. Why? This is again because of the fact that when it's hot, the warm air being lighter than the colder air, it will rise up. Now if the house doesn't have any ventilators, this warm air would go up but it would never go out. So if the warm air never goes out, there won't be any fresh and cooler air that would come in. So in this way there will be no air circulation and there won't be any fresh air coming inside. Hence, we should never buy a house that doesn't have any ventilators. Question number 5. Explain why holes are made in hanging banners and hoardings. So you might have noticed that the banners or hoardings which are hanging, they always have holes. So these holes are made to allow air to pass through them. So as a result of this, there is lesser air pressure on these banners or hoardings. So imagine if there are no holes, then a lot of air pressure would come, and these banners or hoardings, they may fly away. So to avoid that, holes are made in these banners and hoardings. Question number 6. How will you help your neighbors in case cyclone approaches your village or town? So there are various ways in which we can help our neighbors. We can help them shift their household articles, things of use, domestic animals, etc. to safer places or shelters which are created by authorities. Or we can share with them phone numbers of all emergency services like police, fire brigade, so they can call them in case there are any emergencies. Also, we can advise them not to drive on roads where you have standing water, not to touch wet switches, etc. So this way they'll be able to protect them and they would be safe. Question number 7. What planning is required in advance to deal with the situation created by a cyclone? So in case of a cyclone, there has to be many steps that should be taken well in advance to ensure that there's minimum loss to property and life. So some of these steps are carefully listening to the warnings on TV, radio and other media so that we are well aware when the cyclone would hit, what would be the severity. Based on that, we should move to safer places or the shelters that are put up by the administration. Also, we should have an emergency kit which is always ready. Should store food in waterproof bags because of excessive rains, the food can get wet and become inconsumable. We should always ensure that we do not go near the sea because that's where it hits first and that's where maximum destruction takes place. And lastly, we should always have the emergency numbers ready with us well in advance. Question number 8. Which one of the following places unlikely to be affected by a cyclone? A. Chennai, B. Mangaluru, C. Amritsar, D. Puri. So we would have noticed here that of these 4 places, 3 places are near to the coastal areas where you have sea. So Chennai, Mangaluru and Puri, they are to the coastal area. So these are most likely to be affected by a cyclone. However, Amritsar is least likely to be affected because it is far away from coastal areas. Question number 9, and this is the last question. Which of the statements given below is correct? In winter, the winds flow from land to the ocean. In summer, the winds flow from land towards the ocean. A cyclone is formed by a very high pressure system with very high speed winds revolving around it. Or the coastline of India is not very vulnerable to cyclones. So let's start from fourth and then we'll come back to first. So the fourth one is coastline of India is not vulnerable to cyclones, which is incorrect because coastline of India is vulnerable to cyclones. In fact, every other year we see cyclones hitting our coastline. third one, a cyclone is formed by a very high pressure system with high speed winds revolving around it. Again, this is not correct because cyclone is formed by a very low pressure system with high speed winds revolving around it. So this is again incorrect. Second one, in summer, the winds flow from land towards the ocean. So this again is incorrect because we know in summer the winds would flow from ocean towards the land. So first one is the one which is correct. So we know that during winter land would cool down faster than the water in ocean, and hence the temperature of water in oceans that is higher. The warm air over these oceans that will rise up, which will create low pressure, and cooler air from the land will rush towards the ocean. Hence in winters the wind would flow from land to the ocean. So with this we come to an end of the chapter and all the three videos of winds, storms and cyclones. Thank you and hope you had a good learning experience. Thank you.